The Senate will come to order. Remaining under motions and resolutions will revert to the third order of business, messages from the House. The Secretary will read the message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate file as amended by the House, in which the amendments of the concurrence of the Senate is respectfully requested. Senate File Number 104, a bill for an act relating to public safety, requiring updated policies regarding the use of force by peace officers. Senate File Number 104 is herewith returned to the Senate. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that Senate File Number 104 be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following Senate file as amended by the House, in which the amendments of the concurrence of the Senate is respectfully requested. Senate File Number 47, a bill for an act relating to local government aid, providing aid and reimbursements to counties, cities, and towns to fund expenses related to COVID-19. Senate File Number 47 is herewith returned to the Senate. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that Senate File Number 47 be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will read the next message.
Mr. President, I have the honor to announce the passage by the House of the following House file herewith transmitted. House File Number 105. Patrick D. Murphy, Chief Clerk, House of Representatives.
There's no action required on that message. Remaining under motions and resolutions, we'll move to the fourth order of business, first reading of House bills. The House file listed in the agenda is given its first reading and referred as indicated. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House File Number 105 be laid on the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations.
Now I'm going to take it up, right? I'm taking it up.
Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, we have a few authors' motions listed in the agenda. We'll take these authors' motions as one motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion prevails. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that House File 105 be taken from the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Senator Gazelka.
Mr. President, I move that a urgency be declared within the meaning of Article 4, Section 19 of the Constitution of Minnesota with respect to House File Number 105, and that the rules of the Senate be so far suspended as to give House File Number 105 its second and third reading and place it on final passage.
Members, this motion requires 45 votes in order to prevail. On that motion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The Secretary will give House File 105 its second reading.
House File Number 105.
Second reading. Members, we have House File 105 in front of us on the floor. Senator Abler.
Thank you, Mr. President, and welcome to one of the last days of session for the year. But maybe we'll be back in later. But anyway, this bill actually represents the way to help us get away from the peacetime emergencies and what happens after the peacetime emergencies go away. And I want to encourage the people of Minnesota, there will be an after to that. And it's actually created nothing but challenges for people on Main Street and sports and schools planning, and sometimes the governmental response to that has been less than optimal. I'll understate that. But so it's going to come to an end, but also one thing it's caused is some flexibilities in some of the ways that the human services world has done its business. And under Executive Order 20-12, Commissioner Harpsted has issued 80 orders for flexibilities, 80 different ways to do human services business to make it actually work in these challenging times, to cut down licensing delays, help people transfer between group homes to other places, from day services to group homes and so on, and help people actually be served pretty well. And I just want to commend the commissioner and her crew for their flexibility and their speed at actually doing some of this. It turns out that the governor doesn't have the authority to continue any executive orders past the end of the peacetime emergency. And frankly, that could end today to suit me. But if it did, there would be some real problems in some of the programs and flexibilities that have been established. That's the purpose for this bill. And Mr. President and members, I think this bill can be a template for how we work with the governor to put the peacetime emergency aside and carry forward some of the necessary elements that have been ordered through his 50 or 60 executive orders as well. And so what this bill does, it looks at all 80 orders that have been brought forward by Commissioner Harpsted and her department, and it continues all those for 60 days past the end of the peacetime emergency. And there's a handful that will continue on until the end of June of next year. And so I can, I don't know how much the public wants to know, but they probably do want to know something about these. I'll just kind of go through the quick list of which ones that are going to continue continue past until the 21st, until 2021. It allows phone visits for waiver programs, expands access to telemedicine services for children's health insurance and other programs. It allows telemedicine for school-linked mental health services, allows phone or video use for targeted case management, expands telemedicine in healthcare, mental health, and substance use, allows a partial waiver of county costs when people are leaving Anoka Metro Regional the facility there. Lost it. Allows flexibility in housing licensing. It expands remote home and community-based services, the remote function of that. It allows remote delivery of adult services. It changes licensing for substance use disorder places. It modifies certain license requirements for adult day services. It modifies certain requirements for the early intensive developmental and behavioral intervention services. It allows flexibility for PCA oversight, and modifies certifications for mental health centers. There is a small cost to it for the allowing individuals who are in quarantine or unable to be in their housing because of COVID to keep that room available. And that's $1.13 million from the COVID fund. There is no general fund here. And Mr. President, I think this passed the House with 5 or 6 no votes. But beyond that, we have worked very hard with the advocates, the counties, the department, and everybody to make sure that these are reasonable things to extend. There will be more discussion going forward about if we should extend these longer or other ones that might be worthwhile. If we're still in a peacetime emergency come July, I imagine there might be a similar bill. Looking forward to some of those. Mr. President, I hope we're not back in July for extending the peacetime emergency. With that, I will stand for questions. Thank you.
Discussion on House File 105. Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have the A1 amendment.
Senator Benson has the A1 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Benson moves to amend House File Number 105 as follows, page 1 after line 10, insert. This is the A1 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President and Senator Abler. I do support your bill, but there's somebody else that we need to support, and those are the CCAP providers. We do have some federal money available to get out to the CCAP providers, but we have to increase our rates to the 25th percentile of the most recent market survey in order for this money to get out to them. And so, members, what the A1 amendment does is, in fact, move us from 2011 to 2018 and then freezes it at 2018, 25%. Members, there is federal money to cover our budget window. And so the general fund impact of reprogramming will be absorbed by the department. And so, members, I hope that we can support increasing CCAP rates on this bill.
Discussion on the A1 amendment. Senator Abler.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. And this is actually a really good amendment, and it's one I like. And I'm torn. Well, I'm actually not torn, but I'm just disappointed that I have to tell members, at least invite members, to please not vote for this really good amendment. There is really a problem in childcare, and changing these rates will actually make quite a bit of difference as COVID has really decimated some of these places. But Mr. President, and I realize the agreement was with Senator Representative Liebling and myself, but all the people we talked to, but we had agreed, especially on something as dicey as this, that the list would get shorter and not longer. We put forward all the waivers and then kind of brought them back in as we had objections. And so that was hard for both of us because the county wanted a few more, the department wanted some more. And so we brought them down, and the agreement was that we would actually keep the bill the way it is. And Mr. President, I don't know, but you've been here pretty long yourself, and you know all you have in this place is your word. And I think if this came to a vote, it would pass. And that would put me in a difficult position with regard to my word. And so in making this agreement, I even called Representative Liebling this morning looking to add a few other things to this bill, which were every bit as good as this and others. And we agreed, no, we've made an agreement. We're going to keep it that way. And I think, Mr. President and members, people see us having all our contention and difference of opinions, but at the end, we all are individuals with a lot of integrity. And so it pains me, Senator Benson, to ask you if you would please not tempt the body with this really good amendment and help me maintain my agreement that I have made with the House and Representative Liebling about this bill. It's set to go to the governor. And so if this can go to the governor, then the governor can quit having his peacetime emergency, and all these very important matters related to human services can go forward. So if you don't mind, I would ask you to kindly withdraw. Thank you, Mr. President.
Further discussion, Senator Benson.
Mr. President, I think this issue is really important. Senator Abler, as the lead author on the bill, gave his word to his House counterpart. And he didn't pledge my word. He gave his word as lead author, as chair, as a member of our caucus. But he did not give my word. And so here I stand wanting to do something really good that could hurt the reputation of one of my colleagues. So I can either push the CCAP amendment, which I know will go on, and then we'll send this bill back to the House, and it won't get to the governor's desk in a timely manner. Or I can keep Senator Abler's word. So this is my choice today. I can do something good on CCAP right now, or I can look for another path for CCAP and keep Senator Abler's word. So, Mr. President, out of respect for Senator Abler giving his word to a member of the House, out of respect for him as a chair, out of the essential need for us to be able to keep our word and not be undermined by members of our caucus, Mr. Chair, Mr. President, Senator Abler, I will withdraw this amendment, and I will find another path for this good work.
Senator Benson withdraws the A1 amendment. Any further discussion? The Secretary will give House File 105 its third reading.
We have 2 other amendments. Well, he's not here.
The Secretary will give House File 105 its third reading.
House File Number 105, a bill for an act relating to human services.
Third reading. Any final discussion on the bill? Senator Abler.
Thank you, Mr. President. And thank you, Senator Benson, for allowing me to keep my integrity, because that would have actually sidelined this bill, and all the people that are counting on it, I would have had to hold the bill over, and that would have been really, really bad. Mr. President, there's a lot to be proud of in this place. I'm proud to work with Representative Liebling. Keep giving her a promotion, but Representative Liebling on this, I've known her for years. And that working relationship is really important. And so we were both sorely tempted in both our bodies with amendments like this, and there's some we just couldn't do. So I'm happy it's working out that way. And I hope as other negotiations go forward that we can try our best to stick to the agreements that we've made, and then good work like this can go forward. This bill is a really, really good bill. This bill is going to touch many lives and help people be better served in our human services programs. We have over 1.1 million people and spend $17 billion a year on those folks that are so important to us. So with that, Mr. President, I thank you for the time, and I urge members for a green vote. Thank you.
Any final discussion? Members, we're on final passage of House File 105. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Retiring room. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will now call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I report Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Lane votes aye.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Sparks votes aye.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
Senator Wickland votes aye. Senator Frentz.
And Mr. President, Senator Herr votes aye.
Senator Herr votes aye. I will call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Jensen votes aye.
Senator Jensen votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson P. votes aye.
Senator Anderson P. votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Howe votes aye.
Senator Howe votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Gazelka votes aye.
Senator Gazelka votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Senator Nelson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Kent votes aye.
Senator Kent votes aye. All senators having voted who have the desire to vote, the secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Benson.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate File 6 be taken from the table.
On that motion, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. Senator Benson.
Mr. President, pursuant to Rule 26, I designate the following bill be made special orders for immediate consideration, Senate File 6.
Members, the next bill up for consideration is Senate File 6. Senator Westrom.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, there is a need for speed for high-speed internet across our state. Again, there is a need for speed for high-speed internet, especially in rural areas, but it's especially been accented this past spring with distance learning and many families having to work with their students learning from home, many parents having to work through telecommuting, many doctor's appointments needing to be done through telehealth, and the need for this speed of internet has been accented. And this need for speed is being addressed in this bill. This bill has $15 million for educational reimbursement and assistance to help families and students that don't have high-speed internet, to help the schools get reimbursed for some of those expenses where they step in and help out, make sure the families have access through hotspots or maybe through a short-term contract they've worked out with the local providers. Because most families do have internet and Wi-Fi at their homes, but some don't, even though they're able to get it in their area. But many others in rural areas don't even have that option through traditional means. So this would allow schools to find flexible other arrangements. Maybe a hotspot is the most common likely scenario. But whatever they can work, maybe satellite is another option they're going to find to get those students that high-speed internet access as much as possible. There's also $10 million for additional build-out of rural broadband in the unserved areas. That $10 million will go a long ways in addressing some of these areas that we have become even more aware of because of COVID-19, and the need for it has become even greater as people work remotely, as students try to learn. And you've all seen the stories of the students that had to drive to school 20, 30 miles, some up on the Iron Range. I remember those stories on KSTP this spring. I've heard stories in my district about that. Students driving in to do their homework sitting outside the school, but they can't go in. So they're doing their homework in the evenings from the car while everybody else is at home working from a desk, working from the lazy boy, working from the kitchen table. And so this $10 million will be structured in grants. But let me come back to that. The last part of this bill is another $2 million for telehealth upgrades for telehealth technology that is needed for public health services and other types of businesses out across our state. With nurses not doing home visits as much, with consumers trying to use telehealth visits through Zoom and other virtual means, they've found the same scenario of problems with their technology not being able to handle this kind of capacity. So this $2 million will go to help the public health and the telehealth needs across our state with our public health services and those types of businesses. So members, this is a very good bill. $37 million of the federal COVID funds would go to be dedicated towards this need for speed and the high-speed internet that many in our state enjoy, but about 9% of our state still does not. And so we've crafted this bill to target those unserved areas. And as I'm concluding, I'll just focus a little more on the $10 million because this is largely the same bill that passed off the Senate floor back in May. Didn't quite get through the House the last night of session. There's been some revisions, and Mr. President, we need to adopt that amendment. Once I'm done, we'll adopt the amendment because that'll reflect the changes. But what we did is we extended that education piece into the fall, into December. So the schools, as they might be looking at some distance learning this fall, they could still receive it. They might have had expenses from this spring. They could receive some reimbursement for that. The $10 million was a little trickier because this money needs to go out quickly, at lightning speed. And so I thank Representative Eklund. Senator Frentz here in the Senate has been very helpful in helping us push towards the goal of finding a way to expedite and get this high-speed internet money out. And what we've done, in short, is we've shortened the challenge process to 10 days. The industry has worked hard on this to sign off, to work to find a way to keep the process in place, but expedite it. We will have a 2-week, 14-day application period. We will have a $500,000 cap on these grants, so there will be many, many grants across the state. Hopefully the providers are ready for this. They've been engaged in this, so I think they know it's coming, if we can get it done here today. Those $500,000 grants, they said, are unique because that size is significant in an outbuild in certain areas in their territories, but it's small enough to move quickly. And as one of my providers told me, we all have fiber in our warehouse, and that amount of fiber we can get moving quickly in a smaller grant process like this. So within that after the 14 days, there will be a 10-day challenge period. Meantime, the Office of Broadband, which runs a very good ship, will be doing their due diligence, and they will get these grants out, hopefully by early September, the way we've structured this bill. But that's why there's a need for speed to also pass this today, get it to the governor and sign it, and target these dollars to respond to the COVID-19 areas that are lacking from unserved high-speed internet. So, Mr. President, with that, I'd move the A8 amendment.
Senator Westrom offers the A8 amendment. The Secretary will report the amendment.
Senator Westrom moves to amend Senate File Number 6 as follows, page 1, line 20 after 2019-2020. This is the A8 amendment.
To the amendment, Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, members, this is the language that does that, makes the changes to expedite these grants, the process that we've worked out with the industry, worked out with the Office of Broadband, and everybody has put their efforts into making this quick, certainly transparent, but move the process along and not have it slowed down by process because we need to get these grants out. So I'd urge member support. And Mr. President, I want to just correct a mistake. I said 37 million. It was 27 million that's in this bill, not 37 million. So, but it's the same bill. I'd urge your support of this amendment to get this in the shape it needs to be so we can move quickly.
Discussion on the A8 amendment. Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Senator Westrom. With lightning speed, we are going to pass this bill. I urge all members to vote yes. We still have students doing their homework in the parking lot of local fast food. We still have businesses that we told they had to telecommute who don't have access to high-speed wireless internet. We still have Minnesotans that don't have rural broadband, and we need it. And this bill is a major step forward. Not only Senator Westrom deserves thanks, but Joel Hansen, the CA, Representative Eklund in the House. And with that, Mr. President, I would say thank you very much.
Any further discussion on the A8 amendment? Senator Rosen.
Thank you, Mr. President. I, too, stand in strong support of the A8 amendment in this bill. And Senator Westrom, you have done an amazing job with this bill. Right from the very beginning of our COVID crisis, you have been working on this bill to try to get the necessary funds out there. I remember having all my superintendents, 15 of them, on a Zoom meeting, and they were telling me about this crisis that they were having with their students having to drive, as Senator Frentz said and Senator Westrom said, about having to drive to the local McDonald's just to be able to do their homework. And it really really hit me that this has been a travesty to our children, that they are not able to have the necessary equipment to do their schoolwork from home. So with that, I think once we get this broadband deployment out and we're treating everybody equal, you will see more work being able to be done from home. You'll see more telecommuting. Hopefully that will revitalize our small communities, and perhaps we can keep our children in our small communities instead of having to leave our small towns, our counties in greater Minnesota for the big city where they have this known fact. But Senator Westrom, again, thank you for being very diligent about this issue. Members, this is critical that we get this bill passed and signed by the governor. Thank you.
Further discussion on the A8 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Opposed, say no. We'll take a brief pause to gather the votes of the members in alternate locations. Receiving a sufficient number of aye votes, the motion prevails. The amendment is adopted. Members, we're back on Senate File 6 as amended. Any further discussion? The Secretary will give Senate File 6 its third reading.
Senate File Number 6, a bill for an act relating to telecommunications.
Third reading. Final discussion on the bill. Senator Westrom.
Mr. President, I think I've said it all. Members, let's get this quickly over to the House so they can quickly get it to the governor's office, and the need for speed is real. And so with that, enough said.
Members, we're on final passage of Senate File 6 as amended. Seeing no further discussion, the Secretary will take the roll. Members in the retiring room, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 303, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in the President's office, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 323, please come to the chamber to vote. Members in room 237, please come to the chamber to vote. And members in room 206, please come to the chamber to vote. I will call on Senator Frentz to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Frentz.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. President. Senator Carlson votes aye.
Senator Carlson votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Eaton votes aye.
Senator Eaton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Lane votes aye.
Senator Lane votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Latz votes aye.
Senator Latz votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Newton votes aye.
Senator Newton votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Pappas votes aye.
Senator Pappas votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Rest votes aye.
Senator Rest votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Sparks votes aye.
Senator Sparks votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Kent votes aye.
Senator Kent votes aye. Senator Frentz.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
Senator Wickland votes aye.
Senator Hayden votes aye.
Senator Hayden votes aye.
Thank you, Mr. President.
I'll now call on Senator Jasinski to report the votes of the members voting under Rule 40.7. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson B. votes aye.
Senator Anderson B. votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Chamberlain votes aye.
Senator Chamberlain votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hall votes aye.
Senator Hall votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Senjum votes aye.
Senator Senjum votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Lang votes aye.
Senator Lang votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Anderson P. votes aye.
Senator Anderson P. votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Howe votes aye.
Senator Howe votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Gazelka votes aye.
Senator Gazelka votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Nelson votes aye.
Senator Nelson votes aye. Senator Jasinski.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Jensen does vote aye.
Senator Jensen votes aye. All members having voted who have the desire to vote, the Secretary will close the roll. There being 67 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed and its title agreed to. Remaining under motions and resolutions, Senator Benson. I'm sorry, Senator Gazelka.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we recess. GOP will caucus up in the room up here, whatever the room number is, 303. So recess to the call of the President.
Do you have an idea of approximately how long, Senator Gazelka?
Probably about the time there might be a speech.
Senator Gazelka moves that the Senate recess to the call of the President. All those in favor say aye. Opposed say no. The motion prevails. The Senate is in recess.